really there are just two or three of us left. I'm not going to name the other companies, but that are making all the brushes, in our own factories in whatever home country they're in Europe. Um, yeah, you do have, I mean, I often walk into an art supply store and you may see like a wall of brushes, and you may see, three white synthetic brushes from different brands. And it's basically the same fiber and with a different color handle. It's the same brush. So you see so much duplication, or you see, one brand may have three lines of synthetic hog bristle, but then you look in the store and they don't have any, they don't have a Kolinsky oil brush, or they don't have, we make a very unique black sable brush for oil painting. So there can be like a huge selection, but it can be a lot of duplication where they're missing key traditional brushes and modern synthetics that we make that are different. And so that's what we try to do. I mean, we really kind of work differently in that a lot of the corporate brands have these huge displays, and they don't have that many brushes. They can be 18 inches wide, and our brush racks are like 8 inches wide or 11 inches wide, and that's to help the retailer have a kind of more of a selection in a smaller space. So I guess we're doing a little contrarian thinking on that, the way we operate. But we want to give the retailer a great selection of a bunch of unique brushes in a very small space. So yeah, we're very different that way from most of the brush brands in the artist supply industry.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I appreciate that a lot because that makes it so much easier to like go into an art store and actually find the Da Vinci brushes instead of like getting distracted by like that big ass sign that has like a bunch of nothing on it. You know, it's like maybe like a really goofy like painting or something, and then like all the writing. I don't even look at that. I'm touching all the brushes and I'm like, why do they all feel the same? Um, but actually, I think now is a really
Yeah,
good moment. Huh?
no,
You
go
can
ahead, go
continue.
ahead.
No, you can continue.
Well, yes, there is a lot of duplication of
hmm
we try to make, with our natural hair brushes, I mean, we try to use only the best, like when you're buying natural hair, whether it's hog bristle or Kolinsky sable or black sable or ox hair, whatever kind of material you're using, you can buy these in different quality levels. Um, so we generally, with all of our brushes, generally always buy the highest quality we can. And we have kind of ancient sources for this material that Mr. Defet developed over, you know, 50 years, 60 years. Um, so we always try to buy the best, and then maybe sometimes we'll buy the second quality as well, so that we can make an alternative for artists with a brush that's a little less expensive. So let's say we have, our Maestro Kolinsky watercolor brushes, which are our top of the line brushes. We also buy then one called the Harbin Kolinsky, which is about 40% less, um, so that the artist can have an alternative. Maybe they want to buy a size 10 round. Well, in the Maestro, it's pretty expensive, but if you buy the Harbin size 10, it could be 40% less in a store. So that's kind of our guiding philosophy. We're always buying the best that we can, and we dress the hair ourselves. So most brush manufacturers buy the hair in a bundle um, from a middleman. So we actually, will buy the tails, and for making sable and squirrel brushes, we'll buy the ears because it grows very long out of the ox hair ears, and then we clean and dress the hair ourselves in the factory, so we know what quality we're getting, and we have quality control, and we also have a very expensive digital microscope that we can examine, take out all the broken hairs in the natural hair of brush making. Now, I should say that no animals are, to my knowledge, are killed for brush making. It's a byproduct industry. So the brush makers, it's not a big enough industry. We get the leftover parts
hmm
generally. So we get the tail to make, sable and squirrel brushes. The hog bristle usually comes from the back of the hog. And so that's kind of, just to be upfront and honest about that. That's
hmm
that's that's how it works. But we in starting in the 1970s, Mr. Defet really put his attention on synthetic brush making, and that's a whole new another chapter where he wanted to make the best synthetic brushes in the world. And because in the night up until the 80s, this synthetic brush making was just kind of one strand of nylon, one thickness. They weren't great. You'd go into an art supply store and it might just say I remember this as a teenager. And it would just say for oil, acrylic, and watercolor, and there'd be no information. And the brushes just weren't very good. So Mr. Defet Da Vinci started experimenting, making multi-diameter synthetics. That was the first thing. So 3 and 5 diameters of thickness. So you'd have 3 or 5 different thicknesses of nylon or whatever the material was, Taclon or some kind of synthetic material. And he started kind of what he said would spinning them together, in that the thickest would be on the outside and the thinnest would be on the inside. And by doing this, it kind of started this capillary motion where water or paint was coming up and being held into the brush and then being distributed more evenly. And he started shaping brushes specifically for synthetic brush making. So sometimes if you make a synthetic brush and you try to shape it just like the oil painting brush or the watercolor brush, natural hair, you have to make different allowances for the thicknesses, the shaping, so it performs better as a synthetic brush. So we have like 3 lines. These were the first ones. We have the Nova, which comes in a short and long handle, and this was the first brush we did with 3 diameters synthetic. It's still all over the world, the Nova. It's got a green handle. It's a golden synthetic, and it's one of our most affordable brushes. I know you use that brush. You told me you bought some in Italy years ago from the
Yes,
Zecchi
I
store in
have them.
Florence.
Oh yes, I bought them. I bought a whole set. Like these are filberts, and they have lasted. God, I've been using them for like 5 years, and the shape, it's still nice and springy, which, oh, it's so nice. I don't get that with other brushes, and they've maintained their shape so well too, which I recommend these also. I've personally used them, and I think they're some of the best for anyone who's starting out. And I
Yeah,
like
they're
that
a great.
they're a good price.
Yeah, yeah, they are.